All right, so today we're going to be looking at some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
You sent in this article about Donna Snow, this 84-year-old woman who was at a rally in Aliso Viejo, California,
Right.
and things got pretty violent.
Yeah, it's a story that could easily get lost,
Yeah.
in the news cycle every day. There's something new.
Right.
But I think Donna's story is one that we really need to take a closer look at.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to unpack here than just what the headlines tell us.
Exactly.
So what do you think is important about this story? Why should we care?
Well, I think this isn't just a local news story.
Yeah.
It really, taps into a lot of the anxieties and divisions we're seeing all across the country right now.
Right.
Donna's experience almost becomes symbolic of the larger tensions that are at play.
Okay, so let's set the scene.
Okay.
It's a sunny day in Aliso Viejo's Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Trump rally.
Right.
And the article paints this picture of families, people of all ages, real mix. Donna, a retired teacher, is there with her handmade sign, and the article mentions she wished her late husband could have been there with her.
That detail really struck me too.
Yeah.
It immediately humanizes her, right?
Mm.
She's not just a face in a crowd. She's someone with a history,
Right.
with loved ones, with beliefs that she holds, very strongly.
Yeah.
And it also kind of hints at this idea that, many people at rallies like this are there to connect with something.
Yeah.
Something bigger than themselves.
Right.
Something that feels meaningful to them.
And the article really doesn't portray the rally goers as like a monolithic group.
Right.
There's this sense of everyday people just expressing their political views.
Exactly.
But then there's this other presence that starts to creep in, almost ominous,
Yeah.
A man named Alvin Gary Shaw.
Right.
He's described as lingering at the edge of the park wearing this dark hoodie,
Yeah.
pacing restlessly.
It's almost like a literary device, right?
Right.
Foreshadowing the disruption that's to come.
Right.
And it plays into, I think, a fear that a lot of people have these days.
Yeah.
That violence can just erupt, even in settings that seem peaceful.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what happens, right?
Yeah.
Shaw suddenly lashes out, shoving a man, then turning on a woman who tries to intervene.
Right.
And the whole scene just erupts into chaos.
Yeah. And it's in this moment of chaos that Donna, this 84-year-old woman, is knocked to the ground.
Oh, wow.
She hits the pavement hard.
Oh, my God.
The article really emphasizes the disorientation that she feels, the world blurring around her.
I mean, it's hard to even imagine. And what gets me is that in that moment, her main concern isn't even her own safety.
Right.
It's that her sign might be damaged.
I know. It's such a fascinating detail. It speaks to, I think, how important these signs are to people. They represent something bigger than themselves.
Right.
Their values, their beliefs.
Yeah.
In that moment, Donna's sign is almost like an extension of herself.
Yeah. And then things escalate even further.
Right.
Shaw pulls out a knife.
Oh, God.
The crowd starts to panic.
Oh, wow.
He bends down toward Donna.
Yeah.
And for a terrifying moment,
Right.
it's unclear what he's going to do.
It's a scary moment.
Yeah, he tries to burn her sign.
Wow.
And this is where the story introduces this element of almost like cinematic heroism.
Yeah.
This off-duty police officer who happened to be at the rally
Right.
as a supporter.
Yeah.
He sees what's happening and he steps in.
Wow.
He's described as having this commanding voice, ordering Shaw to drop the knife.
That's incredible.
And there's real tension in this part of the story.
Yeah.
You can almost hear the officer's voice cutting through the panic.
Right.
And thank goodness Shaw complies.
Yeah.
Deputies arrive and he's arrested.
Okay.
And then the focus shifts back to Donna, who's still on the ground, shaken, but thankfully physically unharmed.
So this is where the story kind of moves beyond just this one incident and becomes something much bigger. It really starts to touch on these very real anxieties and divisions that we see in society today.
So it's almost like her experience becomes like a microcosm of this national conversation about political violence.
Exactly.
This one event that was captured on video and shared widely online suddenly throws this 84-year-old woman into the center of a national debate.
And the responses to the incident, as the article highlights, are very divided.
Right.
Some people see Donna as a symbol of resilience, while others criticize her for being at the rally in the first place.
Yeah.
And it really reveals how difficult it is to have nuanced conversations about these kinds of events, especially when emotions are running high.
It's like her story becomes a Rorschach test.
Yeah.
Where people see what they want to see, confirming their existing beliefs about the other side.
And the way that the media covers this event
Yeah.
Framing Donna as either a victim or someone who brought this on herself
Yeah.
just further divides people.
Yeah.
And then you have President Trump weighing in on this,
Yeah.
publicly praising Donna, even calling her out by name.
That really added fuel to the fire, didn't it?
It did.
It suddenly wasn't just about Donna's experience.
Right.
It was about how that experience was being used to score political points.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of how political figures use events like this to, further their own agendas.
Right. And it makes it even harder to have these genuine conversations about political violence and this division.
It's like everyone's talking past each other, just shouting their own interpretations of what happened without really listening to what other people are saying.
Yeah. And what gets lost in all of this is Donna herself.
Exactly.
Her individual story and how she chooses to move forward.
Right.
Because what I find really remarkable is that she doesn't let this experience define her.
I agree.
She doesn't retreat into anger or fear.
Yeah.
Instead, she actually tries to bridge the divide. The article talks about how she starts to organize these small community gatherings.
And this is where we see the real power of her story. She takes this traumatic experience and turns it into something positive, a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that she doesn't frame these gatherings as like debates or rallies.
Yeah, no, she emphasizes listening.
Right.
Connecting with people who hold different views.
Exactly.
And the article mentions that there are no signs.
Yeah.
No slogans at these gatherings.
It's just people sharing their stories.
It's about creating a space where people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or aggression.
And it goes back to that detail about Donna wishing her husband was at the rally with her.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right.
It's like she trying to recreate that sense of community, that shared humanity.
Exactly.
That she felt was missing in this polarized political climate.
Yeah, she's taking that personal longing and using it to build bridges in her community.
Right. And it's not about pretending that differences don't exist.
No.
Or that everyone has to agree.
It's about recognizing that we can disagree without, demonizing each other.
Right. That we can still find common ground even if we don't see eye to eye on everything.
Exactly. And the article doesn't pretend that this is easy.
Right.
It acknowledges that these conversations can be tough.
Right.
They can even be uncomfortable.
It doesn't sugarcoat it.
But it also highlights these little victories, these moments when people truly listen to each other and begin to see the world from a different perspective.
And even if those moments are fleeting, they can have a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Plant these seeds of empathy and understanding that might grow into something more.
It's like these gatherings are these little pockets of hope in a world that can feel very divided and cynical.
Yeah.
And Donna doesn't present herself as some kind of perfect person. She admits that she has her own biases, her own struggles to understand people who think differently from her.
That's what makes her so relatable.
Right.
She's not preaching.
Yeah.
She's inviting people into a conversation.
Exactly.
Acknowledging that it's a process. It's a journey.
And that journey takes her back to the same park where the attack happened months later.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And it's a completely different scene.
Yes.
It's not this rally filled with tension and anger.
Right.
She's surrounded by this diverse group of people who have come together for peaceful conversation.
It's such a powerful image. It's proof of how much her actions have changed things.
Yeah.
The article describes it as just this beautiful scene, people sharing their stories, connecting with each other.
It's like she's reclaiming that space.
Yeah.
Transforming it from this site of trauma and division into this place of healing and understanding.
And it's not just about Donna and the people at these gatherings. Her story speaks to, I think, a need we all have to find ways to bridge the divides that separate us.
It's a reminder that even in a world that often feels so polarized and hostile, there's still this hunger for connection. For empathy, for understanding.
And it gives us a framework for how we might start to address these divisions in our own lives, in our own communities.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Donna's story.
Yeah.
The attack, the aftermath, and her response.
Right.
But, what does it all mean? What's the takeaway for our listener? I mean, it feels like Donna's story gives us this, roadmap, for having these tough conversations. But I honestly, sometimes I wonder if it's really that simple.
Yeah.
Can a handful of community gatherings really make a difference, in the face of these huge political divides that we're facing?
That's a really good question. And the article doesn't try to oversimplify things.
Yeah.
Donna herself admits that she doesn't have all the answers, but
Yeah.
what she does offer is a place to start.
I guess I'm just thinking about my own experiences.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself getting so frustrated with people who have opposing views.
Right.
It's like we're speaking different languages.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
And research actually shows that when we feel threatened or like our beliefs are being challenged, our brains kind of go into this fight or flight mode.
Right.
It makes it much harder to really listen and empathize
Yeah.
with the other person's point of view.
So how do we break out of that cycle?
Right.
Because I do think having these conversations is important, even if they're difficult.
I agree. So,
Well, I think Donna's approach offers some insights that are really valuable.
okay.
First, she really stresses creating a safe space for dialogue.
Yeah.
That means, setting some ground rules,
Right.
making sure that everyone feels respected,
Mm-hmm.
heard, even if you don't agree with what they're saying.
It's like creating a container for the conversation, right?
So it doesn't just turn into anger and attacks.
Right. And second, Donna focuses on listening.
Yeah.
Really listening.
Right.
To understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it.
Right.
It's about trying to see the world through their eyes.
It's like that quote, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Exactly.
It's so easy to just get caught up in trying to make our own points.
Yeah.
But we forget to really listen.
And it doesn't mean that your beliefs are less important.
Right.
It's just recognizing that everyone's perspective has value,
Yeah.
even if you don't agree with it.
So it sounds like Donna's story isn't so much about, having a solution
Right.
to political division.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about a way of being,
Yeah.
a way to approach these conversations with more empathy and understanding.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about moving away from winning an argument and toward building a connection. And as Donna shows us, even small connections can have a big impact. They
Yeah,
can
right.
help create a more compassionate and understanding world.
And for our listener
Yeah.
who sent in this article,
Yeah.
I think Donna's story is a good reminder that you're not alone.
Right.
If you're feeling overwhelmed by, all the stuff going on, and that even when things feel really divided and angry, there are people out there like Donna trying to build bridges and create space for dialogue and understanding.
It's a call to action.
Yeah.
It asks us, what can we do to be a part of the solution?
Right.
How can we bring more empathy and understanding into our own conversations?
Yeah.
Our own communities?
And maybe, by following Donna's lead, by listening more and judging less,
Right.
we can start to heal some of these divisions.
I think so.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
we'll leave you to think about Donna's story and her message.
Right.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Until next time.